Pete Hegseth is going to get his appearing before the Senate Armed Services Committee, not a sham hearing before the American media. We believe that Pete Hegseth is the right guy to lead the Department of Defense. That's why President Trump nominated him. We're not abandoning this nomination. We're not going to make it easy for people to allow the new Secretary of Defense is. Donald J. Trump, who just won an election by a very significant consent of the United States Senate, that's who determines who the Secretary of Defense is. I fully support Pete. I think Pete's going to get confirmed, and we are completely behind him. I have talked to Joni. I've talked to a number of my colleagues about this nomination and about other nominations. All I'm asking is that people actually allow the Senate process to work. We do not determine important government officials based on anonymous sourcing from the American media. We determine who our officials are through the nomination process, the advice and consent process of the United States Senate. That's how it should happen, and that's how the president's nominees are going to work through this process.
All right.
Wow, tough talk.
At least there's talk at all. I mean, they weren't doing it for Gates.
That's what I thought. The same thing, Eric. Where's the tough talk for Gates? What did he do? Nominate himself?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody came out for Matt Gaetz, the leader of MAGA, and they're coming out for Pete, who's far from a Matt Gaetz level MAGA, Eric, by anybody.
Not even close. Not even
close. I mean, the guy's been on Fox for 9 years, not doing anything. I mean, what the hell? I mean, very strange. And the sheriff down there, who was pulled out by Trump and nominated by Trump, Trump saying, I pulled him out. He did the same thing with Matt Gaetz. He pulled Matt Gaetz out. What do you think? Matt Gaetz woke up and said, I'm going to screw Trump and bail out? Give me a break.
Oh yeah. I'm sure he got that phone call. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking, I've been, listening to two-way things like that and just seeing how it's developing. I think the team around Pete Hegseth knew how to push the narrative. They're the ones who got MAGA involved, and they did a brilliant job of saying, oh no, this isn't about Pete. This is about Trump's policy. They're trying to get Trump's and that made it about Trump. So then now Trump is stepping in. I mean, good on them.
It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. And not as even more bizarre is the Greg Kelly assassination attempts on Pete.
Greg Kelly is
just explain that to me. He did another 15 minutes last night denouncing Pete.
He's very upset with it. I actually have a segment from two-way with him giving his stance. It's a bit shorter, I think, than his 15 minutes.
Okay, right. Well, yeah, go on.
We can watch it
two nights, but go on.
Well, this is in the morning.
Yeah, he's still working it.
MAGA as they come. And I think that the Hegseth nomination was preposterous. I was shocked. I couldn't get over it. Totally unqualified in every way. I can still support President Trump and love the guy. He's not infallible, especially when it comes to personnel. We all know that. I was for Hegseth publicly because he said he was going to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is a bold, even though he technically can't do that. I liked where he was coming from. CQ Brown. No one's talking about him. The allegations over the weekend for me are a total deal killer. He should be finished. I see him as very deceptive. Yesterday on Megyn Kelly, pretending that this is all a media operation because he's against the Forever Wars. He was for the Forever Wars for a long time. People who are watching Fox at one point know that. His lawyer has actually gotten him into this point. One quick point, then I have a question for you guys. His lawyer confirmed that Pete paid the woman who accused him of sexual assault because he was afraid he was going to get fired by Fox if that came out in the height of the Me Too movement. That's blackmail. That shows me that Pete Hegseth is blackmailable. It is.
And I'll go on that now. The problem I have is that he does make some valid points in this particular, clip, being blackmailable as somebody who's had a clearance. That's something that they look for, and have, the top guy, that is a vulnerability. It is kind of an issue.
Is it, you're saying just put any woman on the earth blackmailing him, or this woman?
No, that he paid. That he.
Okay, so let's resolve that then.
Go away.
She signed a do not disclose. He paid her. Sounds like a president-elect had done the same thing. Just defending Pete briefly, it sounds very similar to things that have been done by a lot of people. There's a host of two-way named Mark Halpern who was two-wayed out of mainstream media, and he's not explaining it that way. So that's a separate side issue. But, you know, to his credit, I mean, Pete paid this woman. It might have been a shakedown. I don't know how that makes you blackmailable more, is all I'm asking you, in the future. It's not, you're not saying additional cases, you're saying her.
Well, apparently other cases are supposed to be coming out soon. So
but these are all anonymous sources. We can't, like other people. Again, I'm just defending Pete for argument's sake. We can't run a society like this where anonymous sources say, I got this thing. I mean, either put up or shut up. You know, either come out or not. I mean, come on, Eric. I don't mean you. I'm just saying.
No. I mean, we'll see. Because
we'll see.
A follow-up today was that somebody may be coming out.
Okay, well, when that happens, they'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a big fan of Pete, but once he's been nominated by Trump, I got to, defend Trump's pick, as a MAGA guy. I'm not, he's right, Greg Kelly. What's that?
At least you are. Well, now Trump is too.
Right, now Trump is too, and now J.D. Vance is strongly doing it. And there seems to be turning a corner. This Ernst thing has kicked up so much MAGA ire, where she's now backing off because she's scared, I presume, of being primaried. I mean,
I think she's done.
Yeah, I think she's done, bro.
Which is good.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I'm for a scorched earth. I mean, but I mean specifically about rhinos, to end this thing. You know what I mean? To end this rhino attacks or undermining or doing stuff to Trump's agenda. I think the only way to get rid of them is a scorched earth against them. They can stay there if they become MAGA or go silent. But if they begin to have one vote against him, they have to be targeted and destroyed. That's just my personal rule. Now, getting back to Greg Kelly, I'm a big fan of Greg Kelly. I believe, and this is a couple other people came up with this after I did, he's been meeting a lot with Trump lately, and I think Trump might have whispered in his ear, Secretary of Defense at one point, that he was in consideration and that this is a jealousy thing on Greg Kelly's part.
It could be. I mean,
he's more qualified than Pete is to be if you're going to use Pete as a Secretary of Defense, Greg Kelly is just as qualified or more so than Pete is, and more MAGA than Pete is. Trump loosely could have said, I love the cut of your jib, Greg. Maybe someday we'll talk about Secretary of Defense or something, and just threw it out there. And this guy locked onto it like a junkyard dog. And then they picked Pete, who he's never liked. As you pointed out, they might have baggage going back to Fox, Eric.
I think it's very possible. I mean, if you take the personality types, both of them, odds are, I mean, okay, one, I think that nobody's really denying that Pete liked to drink. I don't know if he's a full-blown.
Well, no, Pete's denying that he liked to drink, and his people around him are denying it. So they're vociferously denying it yesterday.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so
no, he did.
I know, but there's some deception in there. Again,
I don't know. I don't know.
He admits that he was blitzed out of his mind on that night. That all this went down with that woman. That non-drinking.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, the cops said he was obviously drunk. The videos.
I mean, being drunk on the earth is not a crime. I mean,
I never said it is.
No, I'm saying it is because Greg Kelly is alluding to that. And then Greg Kelly adds, I've had my own problems with alcohol. I quit 7 years ago. And I'm going, what the hell's going on here?
Well, that's what I was trying to say and was telling you off the record, is that odds are they might have been drinking buddies.
Oh, right.
They both were at Fox. Why not?
I don't know.
It's possible.
But he's protesting way too much, Greg Kelly. There's more to this, Eric. I think you're onto something. There's definitely more to it than we know. Put it that way.
Yeah, and third party interviewer on behalf, go fuck yourself.
What is this? What are you putting this up there for? We're having a conversation here. Okay,
No.
but I'm saying getting back to this pick, it looks like, and I'll get your opinion. Do you think he's going to make it over the top now?
I don't know now. I mean,
they seem to have
think
turned a little corner, is what I mean.
Oh, he turned a hell of a corner.
Right,
The fact that he got Trump out there, because now Trump is sticking his neck out.
Let me ask you again, and this is a rhetorical question. Should he pick these guys super early in the process, like November 8th, or wait till January 1st, like I recommended? Is this worth it? Is this worth it?
Or even a post-Christmas present, like a Boxing Day dump would be great.
Absolutely. But I don't know what this serves. Ask Matt Gaetz and his corpse and why this is necessary to pick these people so early after the election and just have them out there twisting in the wind with savage media attacks. They're going to move on to Tulsi Gabbard. They're going to move on to the next one, RFK. They're taking them one at a time because they have a free fire zone. They can't believe their luck that Trump has given them 2 months to attack his picks without any retaliatory ability other than J.D. Vance coming out and saying what he did today and some other allies. But even the MAGA people like Greg Kelly are now going after Trump picks.
Oh, well, yeah. Here we go. By the way, this just was breaking today.
Okay.
Nearly 100 national security officials have reportedly signed a letter for Tulsi. I guess they found, 100 laptop people and added another 49.
They found an additional 49. They probably got the wives of the 51.
They probably did. And you know what, though? This is a boon for the Democrats. They don't have to do anything. They just sit there and watch.
No, but sit there and attack, too, and feed
No, they can hold their fire. They can hold their fire right now because the Republicans are eating each other up.
Oh, absolutely.
Then they just go in and just, clean house.
Why is this necessary? Again, I have to ask, as Greg Kelly said, Trump is not infallible and his picks have always been suspect. You and I have discussed this ad nauseum. Doesn't mean I don't love Trump. And you always have to put that in there because the psychos will come after you the second you say something critical.
Okay. Yes.
Nobody's been more supportive than myself and Greg Kelly especially. But nevertheless, he does have some weaknesses in his game, and picking people seems to be one of them.
Well, it's frustrating to me, too, because people don't seem to understand. You're being critical because you like him, because you're like, it's like, what is it? You tell a kid, please stop touching that stove, please. You yell at him. It's not because, you want him to get hurt.
That being said, while we're still on two-way, Mark Halperin and the other guy, the former press secretary for Spicer, and even like the Democrat, I think
he was Trump's press secretary, not Bush.
Spicer?
Yeah.
Who was he before?
He worked for Trump.
Who did he work for before that?
Just in and out. I don't know his other positions, but he was the press secretary for Donald Trump.
Right, but I think he was a press secretary for someone else before that. But nevertheless, they all seem to be apoplectic about Trump doing Meet the Press as we speak right now in real time in New York for NBC with a post panel. It's Welker, the light-skinned black chick, who is no Trump lover, who is going to interview Trump for Meet the Press. And as somebody pointed out, if Vanity Fair called up Trump and said, we'll put you on the cover for a sit-down interview, Halperin said it.
He's right.
He would do it. And he's right. He was right. There's something about legacy media that this guy cannot let go of. To go into that, well, there's two parts to it. One is every conservative media outlet has been waiting to interview him post-election. This is his first post-election sit-down interview, and he's going into an enemy camp and screwing over conservative media, which has been waiting patiently to interview him as the champion of their cause. Now he goes into a viper's nest for reasons that nobody knows, other than, again, to stir up the opposition and give them new life when they're lying in the battlefield dead with a bayonet in their back. He's now going into the battlefield again to step or walk around to get them up from the grave and revitalize them.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can take this thing. I really don't understand.
He just wants to be loved.
Well, or hated, depending on where he's going to go. I mean, nobody who's going to watch Meet the Press is going to. You know what? I've been wrong all these years. He really is a sharp, great guy, and he's not Hitler. You know, they just showed he's not Hitler. So
I know, and that's what's maddening about it, because I mean, you know who did that for him more than anybody? Joe Rogan. When he went on Joe Rogan, that actually changed a lot of people's minds, and they go, he doesn't seem that bad. He doesn't seem that crazy.
True. By the way, Joe Rogan, Mike Benz, 3 hours. Strongly recommend you sit down and watch the entire thing tonight. Everybody, Mike Benz, Rogan. It's from 2 days ago. Unbelievable. It will destroy you. You will never see the world the same way again. Rogan, Mike Benz, 2 days ago on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you want to get it. It's unreal. That being said, they've assembled a panel at NBC to discuss the interview afterwards, the Meet the Press panel, all Trump haters. And Halpern was apoplectic as a legacy news guy that NBC has not gotten the message yet, that they are still not willing to put on a guy like Scott. What was the guy's name on CNN? Erickson?
Rasmussen.
No, Scott.
No, Rasmussen. Jennings.
Eric. What's it?
Jennings.
Oh, Scott Jennings. Yeah, they're not willing to put on a Scott Jennings type on the panel to explain or defend or agree with Trump. Not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. They're just gonna go full bore Trump derangement syndrome on Meet the Press. They probably again can't believe their luck that this guy is walking in saying, "We're gonna give you, the enemy, the first interview." I know there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of MAGA channels waiting, but I'm going to give it to you so you can have a free fire zone on me and edit it any way you want. Then have a panel discussion for hours. Then allow the other leftist news media to take clips from it and run with those. Give me a fucking break. I mean, what is the upside of this, Eric? In his mind, what do you think? Being devil's advocate,
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. It's befuddling. He does this. He's very consistent with it too. Ironically, only Dan Turrentine was who gave any of an excuse, and he was a Democrat.
Yeah,
and he was saying, "Well, I think you might be going in there to pick a fight." And it's like,
okay, well, okay. But why? I just said that. Why? Yeah, they're dead. They're almost dead and buried. Why are you picking a fight with corpses?
I don't know.
You killed them already. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Stop picking people from the House of Representatives. We've got a -1 seat lead, I think, at this point, because they finally finished counting in California, which they went the full Monty. And, you know, I was trying to explain it to Viva the other night. They had election day, after election day, and I'm just going to take this one seat of Tran versus Michelle Steele, Michelle Steele being the Republican out of Orange County, who had a 10,000 vote lead on election night and lost by a couple of hundred votes when it got to December 3rd. The fact of the matter is they're allowed to count for 30 days. And what came in after election day were 300,000 absentee ballots. I think there was 1.5 million votes, 300,000 after. So here's how it works for people at home. They need to make up the 10,000. What they do, forget about the 10,000. You've got 300,000. So you count the 300,000 ballots, which takes 5 minutes. You count that takes a day or two. You count the 300,000. You now find out the final total of your opponent, Michelle Steele. Michelle Steele has maybe 160,000 in my estimate, for the argument's sake. She has 160,000. You've got 140,000. You got to make up the 20 plus the 10 is 30,000. Just for people at home to show you how this works. You've now got a pool of absentee ballots that you've been saving somewhere. Okay, those are now shipped in, and you take the 30,300 and you top her. That's how it's done. You drag in 500, 5,000, 1,500. The next day, 750. These are kept in a house somewhere, and they're brought in the counting center, which is 30 days. Nobody's watching for 30 days. And you slowly, incrementally beat her because you woven in the 30,000 extra votes. Once you know trans is down by X amount, that's all you need to know. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how it's done. I just wanted to finish that one off because they did the same thing with Duarte, and we had mentioned Duarte when Barris was on the other day, but they just finished. And what I've called for is legislation to stop states from deviating on simply congressional, senatorial, and presidential elections. That's it. You can do whatever you want for dog catcher, do whatever you want with states' rights for city council, governor, lieutenant governor, but you can't just have states all over the map for congressional seats. They'll wait it out to see how many they need in the House of Representatives, which is what they just did. We now have a 1-seat lead in an election that Trump is essentially won by a landslide. That's because no one will go and change the legislation on the congressional races. It's shocking. Anyway.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to explain it a little bit more carefully because a lot of people are not getting this, and California can do this all day. They can wait out any election because they smartly and deviously made their final count literally 30 days after election day, and they're not counting. Believe me, it's not ineptitude. People keep thinking, hey, how come Florida could count? It's not about the ability to count. That's not what we're talking. And this is the ability to deceive and to come up with the actual votes to beat an opponent.
Yeah, I mean, we could try it. That's one, again, that I haven't looked any further. I don't know if it'll hold up constitutionally, but it's worth a shot.
Okay, so what do you got now?
Well, I mean, we got the Daniel Penny
all right,
trial,
you know more about this than I do, so go ahead.
I'm kind of befuddled by it, honestly. What we first have is, as I've said a bunch of times, guy never should have been charged.
Oh, right, of course.
I mean, that's just ludicrous.
But in that climate, you could not charge in that climate, in that universe. A guy strangled to death, white man, black man, subway. Hard to not charge.
Well, hold on. You mean white man, 2 black men, and another black man?
No. I'm just saying how Bragg sees it. You're saying how you see it. I'm saying in that universe, that parallel universe, it would be hard not to charge him.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's an inverted world. You know.
No, I know. And yeah. I mean, I'm seeing proof of this already with the situation, that the fact that the jury were even deliberating for over 2 days was shocking to me. I was like, okay, there's something wrong here. I must misread something. Why are they still, deliberating? And then what they finally did today is they were deadlocked on the first charge. Now, the first charge is the secondary manslaughter, and the second charge or lower charge, I think, is negligent homicide or something like that.
For 1 second. I just want to go back for a second and let people decide on the Pete for themselves in the comment section in the chat on their own. Should Pete be confirmed or not? And they can vote on their own in the chat and in the comment section for that. Now let's go on with this. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we had a scenario. The jury was deadlocked. The judge sent them back and said, just keep deliberating. See if you can come to a decision. A couple hours later, they were like, no, we can't. And okay, let me clarify a little further. When he sent them back to do the decision, it was determined by the judge that they have to decide on that first charge before they can go down the line. So if they say not guilty on the top charge, then they could go to the second charge. And that was kind of the instructions that he gave them. Wow. They still were locked on the top charge. So the DA came in and said, hey, okay, you know what? We'll just drop the top charge. And
that's what I'm asking you. Is that ever done before, Eric?
I think it has been done, but I think it's in agreement. Like here, we had the defense saying, oh, hell no, this is unforeseen. What are you doing?
Right.
I think it has been done to where it's like the defense is like, okay, well, we're happy to get anything thrown out and, we'll fight and quibble over the rest.
Right.
But the defense here is literally saying, no. We want this, to
resolved?
go through. Right. And the judge.
Oh, they want a hung jury then.
Well, but hung jury means at least he's out walking.
No,
day.
but I'm saying
Yeah.
what their thinking is, if you
Yes.
can't lock on manslaughter, then throw the whole thing out. You can't just chip away at the charges as you go down the menu.
Right. So strategically,
okay, right.
The prosecution is saying, we want to get him. We just got to get him in. We got to get a conviction one way or another. So we'll drop the top charge, get that down, and the judge dismissed the manslaughter charge.
Manslaughter charge. But why would the judge
Somebody's
do
telling
that?
me it's a hung jury now.
Oh, maybe it just broke.
I don't
maybe
know.
That's breaking news. Maybe it's breaking news.
No. I don't think it is. Wait, I swear.
I didn't think it was. I mean, the day.
No, they went home for the day.
They went home for the day. It can't be.
Yeah. Okay, you're confusing me, Susan.
I don't know who Susan
the jury's,
is. But...
it's one of our moderators who said
that's not. Thanks, Susan.
Anyway, so they dropped the manslaughter top count, sent the jury home to deliberate on Monday. They're coming back.
Of course.
And they're going to be deliberating on the lesser.
Well, hopefully they'll be hung on Monday and he'll drop and not retry, but I doubt that'll happen. But yeah, I mean, this of course, this never should have happened. I mean, I think he lives in West Islip, to be honest with you. Penny, I think, is a West Islipian, if that's an actual thing. We used to play them in baseball when I was playing baseball for Amityville. It's a Suffolk County town down a little further down from Amityville.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever happens, like let's say they do convict him on the lower charge, all this shit's going up in appeal because there's so many crazy things.
However, I can only say that a Manhattan jury is not a jury in Atlanta, so keep that in mind. I think it's a much more erudite jury than you would find in other areas of DC, for instance, or places like Atlanta. This might be a different kind of jury. I didn't see the makeup of it, but these two, the prosecutor is clearly a psycho. I mean, what is the deal here?
I don't know. You sent me that one, so
yeah. I mean, this is couple of the year. Apparently, the wife of the prosecutor has shut down her social media.
You know who she looks like? The blonde in the middle.
Oh. She
looks like that Mormon mother who got arrested for abusing the children. She was an influencer online.
Oh, I don't remember what she would look like, but yeah, possibly. And who's the prosecutor? The one on the right or the one in the middle?
I don't know. I mean,
must be the one
I didn't know
right.
Carrot Top had another career.
Yeah, it's the one on the right. I assume is the prosecutor. She looks more prosecutorial. Although the one in the middle's got a Pam Bondi look, so that might be a new thing coming on now with the new AG.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty intense. So,
well, we'll find out on Monday on this story. We'll find out more at least on Monday.
Yeah, it's.
Now, I did want to cover. Well, it's fresh in my mind. I did want to cover which I was talking about the story from Hawaii here in LA, where this girl from Hawaii landed at LAX. This thing is one of the most convoluted stories of all time. Now, she landed at LAX to make a connecting flight to New York. For Thanksgiving with some relatives, did not make the connecting flight. Her ex-boyfriend was on the plane. He made his connecting flight to New York to have dinner with her relatives because he had known them. Yeah, you ever see one of these things where the relatives of the girl because you've been the boyfriend for so long?
Oh, okay. Yeah, almost like you're a stepson in a not stepson, but an in-law. Yeah.
Right, like an in-law. So he goes on to New York. I don't know if he had the Thanksgiving dinner or not, but 2 days later, she comes back and has her luggage. Keep in mind, her luggage went to New York. She is seen on various security footage around LA, getting on the subway in LA, going to various places for 2 days. Her phone goes dead. She's using her passport as ID. She eventually goes to the Grove, which is a upscale shopping center, plaza thing here in LA. She goes there twice. And then she's with a guy, some sketchy guy who's in the photos with her. And she begins texting that they're trying to steal my identity. They've drained my funds. Her family's back in Hawaii. They begin to come here and look for her. They do this everyone on the ground passing out photos thing in different areas where she's been seen. She then goes back to Union Station, which is the train station, gets on a Greyhound bus, which is at the station. You can get on a bus, goes to San Ysidro, and crosses the border into Mexico on foot, just hauling her little wheelie luggage. And that's the last time she's been seen by herself, going into Tijuana with her rolly thing. She had gone back to LAX 2 days after she landed to pick up her luggage that she got the airlines to successfully return to the carousel on the flight 2 days later, and picked it up and left LAX again. Now, the father shows up, and he's so distressed that he goes to the top of the parking structure at LAX, which is about 4 stories, and does a swan dive into his own head, ending his life because he's so distraught. So now the father is gone. The father's gone. She's alive in Tijuana, apparently disengaged from the family, and there's some mention of a cult now. So this is popping up that she may be a member of a cult. I'll just add one more thing. In searching her phone, she had gone to either a tarot card or palm hand reader twice in LA and paid them through Venmo. Your comment, sir?
Oh, okay. Well, I find it very confusing. Somebody in the chat said that they didn't believe in the distraught father. And if there are others involved, is there a possibility, however remote, that he could have been assisted in his journey off?
Well, they said he was very distraught about the daughter. He was also separate from the family. She had separated from her family. The father said, this might be a way for me to get back with my daughter. She had distanced herself from the entire clan. So that has been established. The sister shows up, an aunt shows up, father shows up, mother shows up in LA. LAPD has a press conference the other day, says she has, I forgot the terminology that they use, like disengaged. She's an intentional missing person.
It sounds like it.
That's what they're claiming. Yeah, they're saying that she's an intentional missing person who does not want to be found. However, when you read the text messages, the final text messages before her phone goes dead, they are mind effing me. They're out to get me. They have drained my bank accounts. I don't know who these people are. This is in her text, the final text. That's why people are alarmed. That being said,
could it be a Stockholm syndrome situation?
I don't know. It's a mystery. People are scratching their heads here in LA. Private eyes have been hired now who are on the case. I mean, the thing is legitimate. Apparently, the bus video is legit. The Greyhound bus thing where she got onto the bus using her passport. She told the woman who asked her for ID that her phone number. She said, I don't have a phone any longer. Here is my passport. There's a photo of her holding up her passport. She has no phone. Phone is dead. No more pings. That's gone. So you tell me, Hunley.
Can we go back in time? And the reason is I feel like sometimes if we can go back to like before she traveled, because it all started from what you said. She missed a connection.
Yes, and the
sounds
LAPD,
like a horrible movie, but did she make a connection, or did she deliberately not make a connection?
I thought the same thing. So I'll explain that because I learned more last night. The connection. First of all, I thought that she had 5 minutes to make it, and there was another terminal, which happens, right?
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't 5 minutes. It was 65 minutes. The boyfriend made it with ease. The LAPD said she intentionally missed her flight. She left LAX with someone and there went to the crypto center, which is the Staples Center here in downtown LA. There's photos of her with around the town for 2 days, Hunley, at various landmarks.
I hope that through her family or permission or whatever, I would want to look at all of her records before she even left, because this sounds like she could have planned to meet somebody at LAX or whatever
Yeah.
And instead of doing the flights, like, oh, well, I'm going to New York, her ex is going to New York, whatever's happening.
Okay.
And then she just goes poof and then walks off.
Well,
I know she was
the luggage
catfished
went
or
all the way.
something.
The luggage went all the way to New York. I mean,
Right.
so she didn't have her luggage. She had to come back in 2 days to get her luggage.
No, I understand that, but if she
Yeah.
had coordinated with somebody, like if she was catfished or something,
Yeah, I agree.
it just feels like that. It
Yeah,
feels
I
like
know.
she
I know.
just walked off and
They drained her funds. I mean, that's kind of cutthroat.
Oh, sure. I mean, but that's, somebody keeps putting human trafficking, which is possible. But yes, that is what a pimp is going to do, or that's what a trafficker will do. It's
Well,
like you separate people from anything holding them to.
I would look at that tarot card reading Venmo thing, because those are gypsies usually in LA, and the gypsies are the type that can somehow drain your bank account, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
I
sure.
would look really, man. LAPD has washed their hands of this thing. They just said, we're not involved anymore. This is someone who passed through here. It's not our problem. She's not an LA resident. The family's ripping their hair out. Nobody's going to Mexico to get her. LAPD says it's not our problem, and I would look at the Venmo and find out who that gypsy palm reader was, because I guarantee you that's where the money went. They somehow, that I got a feeling. Now the cult, I don't know. There's a number of cults still active in Los Angeles, in this city right now as I speak to you.
Sure.
Various different cults. So anyway, I just want to update people who are following this story, because that was late last night. It's still breaking news here in LA.
And cult or otherwise, by the way, the smallest cult is an abusive lover.
Yeah.
If you will. So you could just have one bad actor and he could gaslight her, manipulate her. Anything is possible.
No word from the ex-boyfriend, by the way.
Go figure. Well, I kind of feel like there's somebody else in the chat said that she was actually married before she left Hawaii.
I have not heard that.
I don't know.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I don't know
I
either.
know she was estranged from the father, who the father himself may have had mental issues. The father himself.
Yeah. And the father himself could have been involved with the people that she went to meet. I don't even know. There's a lot of moving parts. And yeah, you're right. You said on Tuesday, this is the next Netflix thing.
Yeah.
Seems like there's plenty of.
This is going to be the next.
Plenty of meat here.
Netflix, plenty of meat on the bone, crime episodic. Yeah.
Calling Dog, the bounty hunter.
Calling Dog. Well, there is a dog involved. I forget the guy's name, Steve something or other. A big guy who's ex-private eye, ex-cop. He has been on the case. So there's plenty of people running around now. Yeah.
Whew, all right. Well, and then the other breaking news is ongoing breaking news. And there's a lot of dispute about it. You've got the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was gunned down literally on the sidewalk in front of the Hilton, where Donald Trump had his victory party in 2016, I believe.
Wow.
And there's a lot going on with this.
What do you make of this thing? What's your opinion on this thing?
I'm up in the air. There are some people who say no, it's amateur hour. It's amateur hour. I'm not sure that the killer's an amateur, because there is different levels. Ian Runkle was talking about, and I agree that, if you go to the lowest level amateur, it's a meth head that's looking for money for a fix, and you just point them at wherever, and they may, go after it. But I'm thinking that there's degrees of ability.
Yeah, sure.
And so you have the state actor who's like a special forces type of thing.
That's true.
And
that's true.
It's all fine. This is probably somebody somewhere in the middle. If it's somebody who's paid, there's a lot of weird questions about it, because there's, the carving on the bullets, the messages.
Yeah.
However, that could have been left there to, throw smoke into, on the trail. I mean, he could have been hired to do it, and, say, script this in there. This guy is not a popular guy. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead. He is very unpopular in many circles, including with the SEC, who apparently was investigating him for a stock problem. There's another motive. He's separated from his wife. That automatically your family's a going to be suspect. The cops are looking into it. That's already out there. I'm not saying that she did that. I'm just saying standard investigation. And Mark, you've covered how many of them. Start out with the family.
Yeah.
Who are they married to? Who do they know? There's another issue of how the hell did they know exactly where he would be? And people are like, well, he's reported. It's like, come on now. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be outside with nobody around at that time. I don't know. That's a little bit sus.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I have my own radical take on this thing. I just wanted to hear what you had to say, and then I'll lay down my hypothetical situation. Again, I'll just say mine is hypothetical. I have been talking to Al Gonzalez. We've been comparing notes before the show, as him being a real detective, me being a phony detective, but both New Yorkers. And
internet detective.
Internet sleuth. I want to be an internet sleuth when I grow up. I think people are pissed. There's multiple levels of this thing. First of all, people are pissed that a guy from the outside, and I know this sounds obtuse, but the New York police are pissed that a guy from the outside came in and killed someone on their turf and got away with it.
Sure.
So there's that level, and escaped. He's now clearly escaped. Nobody's disputing that. It's just a question of how you put this crime together. Mm-hmm. I've got my own radical take on it. It's a little bit radical, but I'll just start with the gun that we talked about this morning. My belief is that this particular gun is really important to the case. The gun, and this goes back almost to Wild Bill Donovan, Eric. And the reason I sent you a picture of that gun was because the original gun was a well rod. The well rod is a gun. If you could show a picture of the well rod, it goes back to OSS. This British intelligence developed this single shot gun, the well rod, and British intelligence gave it to OSS. The well rod was also, I mean, it's used so long into American history as an assassination gun. It goes all the way to Desert Storm, Eric. The Vietnam War, World War II, the Troubles, Falklands War, British guys used it. That silencer device there, and you got to recock it by hand. Okay. There's a modern day version of this older gun called the B&T VP9. There's also one called the Station 6. The VP9, if you have a picture of the VP9, the B&T VP9 is used, and there's another version of this called the Station 6, which I'll get into in a second. But the VP9 is used by veterinarians to put down animals. And usually this would be cows or bigger animals, not a dog in a vet's office. So it doesn't stampede the other animals or scare people. That's why it's a gun that's used by veterinarians. Now,
it's like that blinks on a movie set around horses.
Yeah. So on this particular gun with the suppressor on it, it is a gun that is extremely rare. He did not go to Connecticut to a gun shop where the police are looking and show up to buy this gun. He did come on a bus from Atlanta. He is a bus guy. He did have phony ID of a Jersey license plate, driver's license. He did stay at a New York youth hostel, which is right below where I lived. The youth hostel, if you could show a picture of it, it's on 103rd. This is all important to the case, so I'm going to get into it as quickly as possible. I lived on 83rd in Amsterdam. I've stayed at this youth hostel when my apartment was being painted or whatever. It's on 103rd in Amsterdam. That's where he was staying. This is the youth hostel. It is really the only place in New York, upper New York, to stay in a youth hostel environment. And it's pretty cheap, and it's very clean, and it's a nice place for students and everybody else. This is where he was staying, and he showed up early in the month to get a place in there. They remember him being in there. But if you go back to the gun thing one more time and show the other gun, which is, I don't know if you have a picture of it, but the VP9 is fine. The reason I'm mentioning the VP9 is because it is such a rare weapon. It costs nearly $6,000. This is not a jerk who didn't have money This is not a guy who was a meth addict with a handgun. This particular gun, the B&T VP9, costs about $5,000 something or other. It's a 9mm pistol, maybe it's $5,700. This is part of the story I'm trying to get to. Like Eric said, this guy was laying in wait at 6:30 in the morning for this guy to come out. This gun itself has a very short range of only about 20, 25 yards. You have to be up close and personal to kill with this thing, and he was fairly close to him. Now people have talked about the 3 words on the bullets. If you could show the cover of the book that is similar to the 3 words that were found on the bullets. The book itself, which has come into play in this story, is Delay, Deny, Defend. This is a book. This is one of the main books against insurance companies denying coverage to people. This is a book that is the Bible of those opposed to insurance companies. Now, UnitedHealthcare, which is based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, has been surrounded and protested with die-ins and threats by a group called the People's Action Institute, which I believe this guy is a member of. This is a far-left, communist Chinese, financially backed organization that goes back to SDS, Eric. It goes back in time to Saul Alinsky. It goes back in time to the Students Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. It is one of the oldest, most far-left organizations in the country. This group,
People's Action what?
People's Action Institute, a very, very old leftist organization. One of their major beefs is insurance. They have had die-ins in front of this company's building. They've been arrested in front of this. This is all the past year. This has built up in Minneapolis at the headquarters of UnitedHealthcare, where they have now removed the names of other executives from their website. The Action Institute said they gave some, here it is, People's Action Institute. This is an extremely far left organization. If you read some of their reports as they have them, you'll see one if you scroll down. Just to give an example, there was one completely about the attack on China by American racists, like this one that I was showing you right. Yeah, you got it. There's the one. That was my favorite. I just read that last night. They defend Red China. These are Maoists and extremely far left. I believe that this guy was part of that organization. I believe that this guy came from Minnesota. I believe that this guy either used a veterinarian's license, or maybe his father's a veterinarian from rural Minnesota, and he was able to purchase this weapon with a veterinarian's license in Minnesota. He then took buses to New York because he couldn't fly with the gun, then took a bus out of Atlanta, came up to New York, and I'm going to talk about his escape right now. If you put up that map, if you put up the picture of where I used to live, and you'll see I just want to explain the streets. I sent you a photo of my old building, which is right down the street from that youth hostel. You'll see a picture of a bunch of stone buildings, perhaps. Okay, no, it's okay. After he committed that crime, he went around the block, got on an e-bike, and went up 7th Avenue into Central Park. And the reason, this is where I used to live. If you look at that gold door with the window right there underneath the red awning, that used to be a pizza place when I was living there. It's now some kind of nail salon. I'm sure it's a front for something else. But my brother used to live on the 2nd floor, and I lived on the 3rd. I lived there for over 20 years. And up the street from there, this is Amsterdam between 83rd and 84th. If you go up the street, you'll hit that youth hostel. But cameras picked him up on the e-bike on 84th Street, which is right around the corner there, coming out of Central Park. He went up 7th Avenue, and I don't know if you still have that map. There was like a map that NYPD put out of his route, his escape route.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. So he gets on an e-bike and proceeds up into Central Park. Why? There you go. If you see Central Park where he goes, the tippy top of that map, he goes in there for a reason. And one of the reasons is that there's no cameras in Central Park. Everywhere along the route, he's picked up by cameras from businesses or from the city. When you get into that park, there's no more cameras. I believe when he went into that park, he would eventually come out on 84th Street, because we see him on cameras on 84th Street. For people who know this area, the Upper West Side. Up there is also, and I talked to Al about this morning, up there is also the New York Reservoir, which is in the middle of the park up on 86th Street. That reservoir is the drinking water for the Upper Manhattan. There's looks like a huge lake. It's got a gate around it. People jog around it. I jogged around it for 20 years. It's around in the 80s up there. And he went up there and he took that gun and he threw it into that reservoir. And that's why I'm wearing my NYPD scuba hat today, because NYPD scuba is going to go into that reservoir and look for this gun if they're not doing it already. And Al is looking into it. He, I'm sure he'll come back with some feedback, because the water bodies in New York, and that includes water towers on top of buildings. The water tanks are controlled police-wise by NYPD scuba. He comes out on 84th Street out of the park. He goes up 84th Street past the youth hostel, and I believe he went up to 179th Street. Now, what's up in there's the logo. He went up to 179th Street in Washington Heights. Now, what's up there? There's a Greyhound station up there. It's the George Washington Bridge Greyhound station, where you can get an Adirondack Trailway or a Greyhound bus that'll take you across the river, across the GW Bridge, and into New Jersey. That was his escape route. This guy is long gone. He either took that bus, which goes to Newark, to the airport, or he took it out into the Jersey hinterlands into Pennsylvania, worked his way back to Minnesota via the bus. But that is his escape route, in my humble opinion. I believe that weapon is at the bottom of the New York City reservoir, and that NYPD scuba is going to go down there and get it. And Al kind of signed off on the same idea, because that's why he went into that park. If he threw that gun down a sewer on any corner in New York, eventually it would have been picked up by a camera somewhere. He went all the way into that park and escaped through a northern route on 179th Street. At least this is my take on it from the limited information that I have.
Now, there is some dispute about the gun.
Okay.
Let's go put it
let
out.
Let me just interject before you dispute it. It's been identified by ABC News, NYPD, CBS News, and NBC News. Go on.
Okay. And their sources were potentially from Twitter.
No, I'm just saying. I identified it. I did it before that. This is my take on it. Way before this came out. So now the Daily Mail is showing the same photo you just put up. That's pretty recent for the Daily Mail. But again, I don't really care about the gun that much. I believe that is the gun, though. I believe that is the gun.
Okay. I don't know that it is. And, there are people I trust, the gun experts are saying absolutely not. Runkle is one of them. Scott Rouse is another one. There's another expert that was on there. The big issue with identifying that as a gun is it's a bolt action revolver and it's a sealed chamber. The smoke that you see is coming out off the top and back of it, not the front of it, which doesn't make sense. So the video itself is causing people to argue on the gun. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
I'm not a gun expert either. I'm just saying that's right. My research. That's my personal research on this information. I am not arguing with anybody. This is just my take on it. It's now been vindicated in some respects by CBS, NBC, the New York Times, and the Daily Mail of saying that's the gun. So I said, okay, if they're saying it too, I tend to agree with them because that was my first take on it. But, I'm not going to argue with these guys. I'm just saying there's an escape route. There's a way this guy came in. The real take is on this People's Action Institute, which I believe this was an assassination for political reasons, not monetary.
Oh, I'm fine with all that.
Yeah, that's really the major take on this thing. This was an ideological hit. This was not done for money. This was not because of his wife. This was not because of anything else. It's about this group and and the insurance policies turning down working people and whatever their thing is in terms they have one of the highest rejection rates. This is a group they've been protesting against in Minneapolis at their headquarters for the past year and getting arrested. So that's what my take is on this whole thing.
And it could be. I think we'll
learn more.
This is
happening so fast.
I hate to say it. You may see another incident if it is that.
Oh, that I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know. But look, even the mayor of New York has come out and they turned it over to the garbage lady, who is now the chief of police. The head of New York City Police Department is now the woman who ran the sanitation department. So Al said if she solves this quickly, it'll seal her career for pulling off a great feat in New York.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I really think it should be solved fairly quickly because they got the guy's face.
Yeah.
Supposedly got his fingerprints and supposedly got his DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, that usually doesn't take that long. And they're even saying that they're looking to talk to certain people. So I kind of feel like they may even have a name.
Well, Al thinks he went to Newark and left the country. That's his take on it, on that bus that we discussed, that 179th Street Greyhound, which can take you to Newark. I believe he's trying to work his way back to Minnesota and will be apprehended. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, either way, I'm just saying I'm pretty damn sure that he's identified or very, very, very close. And showing his full face, that was a blunder. And then Ian pointed out a good thing. I've never heard the term before, but he was saying that he was yard sailing the rounds, that he was struggling at the time. He dropped 3 full rounds in addition to the cartridges that went off. So he was. Oh,
I don't think he's a professional hitman. I agree with on that. I just think this is ideological and tracing the gun to a rural area, like Al and I was saying. This is a guy who was shooting this gun in the woods. I mean, no firing range is going to let you come in with that gun. So you have to try it out. You have to use it in the woods. What woods can you use this in? It ain't going to happen in New York. So if you trace it back to Minnesota, where the headquarters is, where I think this guy is from, there's plenty of rural areas with cows and shit to try this gun out. It's just fitting into my overall theory on this case.
Assuming it was that gun.
Yeah.
And other guns. Then that brings up other cases where the reaction has been odd, and I can see some of the political angle you were talking about.
Right.
Because let me just say, it was really weird to see how many people were celebrating what happened or were very unsympathetic. Now, granted, the guy did not seem like a sympathetic character in any way.
But if I could just interject, the group itself, when asked about it, said, yeah, there's plenty of gun violence in America. They didn't have any sympathy either, like you were saying. The group has said there's not, and you may have another girl who agrees.
Yes. Well, this is the illustrious Taylor Lorenz.
Amazing.
Who was sued by a friend of mine, Ariadna Jacob, over, defamation when she worked at the New York Times. This creature then wound up going to the Washington Post, where she's finally been fired a couple months ago. And I don't know. I feel like she's probably putting this shit out there for controversy to stir up and build more of a reputation or whatever, or just to become relevant again. She is not. She's just a bad operator. I do not like.
Well,
her.
Also tone deaf, Eric. I mean, I've never seen. The People's Action Care Over Course campaign, which is a spinoff, said, we know there is a crisis of gun violence in America. There's also a crisis of denials of care by private health insurance corporations, including UnitedHealth, in a defiant statement. So in other words, they're not even weeping 1 second for this guy.
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all. I mean, okay, I'm going to pull up this other story. It's one I already had on deck, though, which I think it ties kind of in what I think Taylor Lorenz may be doing.
Okay.
Because I was talking to Nate about this too. Okay, you saw this about this young influencer?
I did not.
Okay, so you can see this little girl, this young 22-year-old, with her 85-year-old boyfriend.
Okay.
And she had a TikTok that went viral where she was yelling, I got the will next to this guy in the hospital bed.
That's so dark, bro.
It's as dark as you can imagine. Now,
oh my God, Eric.
I know it's a weird analogy for me to bring up.
What's the angle? Yeah.
Okay, this is my thought. This is a garbage TikToker type of person who is one of hundreds and thousands of garbage idiot TikTokers. How do you get relevant? How do you get known? Well, controversy is a quick way to do it, right? So she releases this video. This video goes viral, and yeah, it's not exactly complimentary, but it doesn't matter because she was at a fame level of, shall we say, 0,
Right.
and now she's at a fame level of 5 because she's hated.
Okay.
And by being well known, she's already ahead of all of her peers. And then she can work into a new narrative. Like she could go on an apology tour. She could
Lorenz was kind of famous before, though, right? Or no?
Oh, Lorenz was, but she is trying to find her way back in.
Wow.
And
that's some way to find your way back in.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. We've got another controversy with another influencer going right now who got famous overnight from a 10-second clip.
Well, let me just interject that UnitedHealthcare has already dropped their policy of extended anesthesia billing because of the killing of this executive. So it has already altered the policies of UnitedHealthcare. Go on.
Which, I mean, I'm glad to hear that.
Odd, but
that was a twisted policy. That was bonkers. I mean,
I know.
Anyway, and then, okay, so there's another influencer, Haktua.
What does she do?
Well, she was interviewed and made a oral sex reference, if you will. She was the one who said, I got to get rid of that Haktua.
Oh, I got
And then that went viral.
Gotcha.
Well, she's back in the news because this person managed to take that one viral clip, wound up being on with Logan Paul, all these other people, has spun up her own podcast, and then she got her own crypto coin.
Can I interject?
It ran up.
I just want to interject something. This is after Haktui. She signed with the biggest talent agency in Los Angeles, CAA, which is not a minor thing. Go on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a really there's more to see here. It's odd because then
but I'm saying more to see maybe because of the muscle and power of CAA.
Oh, 100%. How the hell is she getting the guests she got on?
Right.
How was she on with Mark Cuban right before it happened?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm like, that's very interesting. And then she managed to get her own crypto coin. It got pumped up to $500 million.
Right.
20 minutes later, it was worth $60 million.
Well, I'm saying this is the power of the
pull.
Talent agency more than just her doing this. The other girl dancing, with the dancing girl.
Give her time.
No, the dancing girl, I think, deserves more credit because she doesn't have CAA as an agency. She's just a lone wolf. So I tip my hat to the dancing girl more than Haktui girl.
Well, and as somebody pointed out here too, Bill Maher is behind her podcast.
He's probably behind her in more ways than one.
Oh yeah, she was on his show.
No,
anyway,
I meant that as a cheap sexual reference. I'm sorry.
I'm sure.
What else you got going on over there in the house?
Oh, I was going to finish the story. But
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I don't even know where it ends. Go ahead.
Okay, well, she had a crypto coin. It went out. It was $500 million. It went down to $60 million in 20 minutes, and people lost their asses, and there could be prison.
No, get out, Hunley. Is that true?
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Is it SEC kind of a violation or something?
I don't think this is the problem. It's Bitcoin.
Yeah. Right, I know.
Or I'm sorry, it's crypto. It's not Bitcoin.
Crypto, yeah.
There is no
legend. Yeah.
I don't know anything, if this was a stock market pump and dump, she'd be dead.
Yeah.
But this is the Wild West, and you can be screwed over pretty hard with crypto from what I've seen. And where do you go?
Right.
And Daniel Friedrich's fraud, possibly. You would have to.
Well, didn't Trump just bring in a new crypto guy from the
David Sachs?
Sachs is a big wheel.
Well, David Sachs is a big wheel for us too, because he is a part owner of Rumble and Locals.
Yeah. Does he have to give up his private world to come into the government? I mean, what do you have to get? I don't understand this. He was discussing this today, Halpern, with Spicer. Like Spicer had to give up all his stocks, everything he owned, to go into the government. I mean, who's going to do that? I mean, you got to give up. You can't just be wheeling and dealing while you're in the government.
Well, this is true, but you can put everything in a trust. Okay. I believe that's the standard thing. I think Trump did that or whatever. So David Sachs is worth a billion or more. Whatever whatever you could trace, because I think he's got a lot of crypto too. He's one of those that's kind of on the edge where he's got, Silicon Valley money, but I think he's also very well invested in the alternative economy, if you will, or whatever. And blind trust. Thank you, Susan. It could just say, okay, everything's going in the trust, or, he could put it all into one fund or whatever it is. And I don't know. Let me see. In his position, if he's actually a decision maker,
right?
That's going to be hard to deal with, because if he makes policy decisions or encourages them that could affect his own personal fortune.
That's what Spicer was talking about.
It could be interesting.
180-day waiver that they give you to come in for 180 days and get out. So whatever you do is got to be done in 180 days.
Oh, no, that was his way to get in if he can't get confirmed or anything like that. I remember he was talking about that there's this little back door to where you can.
By the way, you people might like to watch two-way, and if you have seen it before, please comment in the comment section if you like it, because Eric and I have been watching it fairly regularly. If you have watched it and want to comment, please comment in the comment section, because Halpern knows where a lot of bodies are buried in Washington in terms of political stuff, and they're trying to find a middle ground between Democratic and Republican infighting to find a balance, and that's why they're calling it two-way. New show with Mark Halpern.
Yeah, and specifically the morning meeting is what I pay attention to. He does another one too in the evening or whatever. The morning meeting I like, it's with Sean Spicer, Mark Halpern, and Dan Torrance or something like that.
Whatever that. Yeah, I don't know who that. He's the Democratic guy.
But he's a Democrat that isn't like making my head explode. That's
the point of the show. That's why it's Sean Spicer and not Marjorie Taylor Greene.
True.
That's the reason why he's picked these people.
No, it's as well. He chose very well.
Yeah,
he really did, and it's thoughtful, very thoughtful show.
Very thoughtful show. That being said, it had Greg Kelly on at the reservoir in Central Park, which I was just talking about. He was jogging around the reservoir, which many people do, but I think that gun's in that reservoir. But anyway,
so Greg Kelly was looking for the gun.
I got a feeling Kelly was going up there doing something. Keep in mind,
his father was a commissioner.
Police commissioner. Yeah. He had him on the show last night. They know that gun's in the reservoir. It's not me. I'm not that smart.
Whatever gun it is, I'm sure. I mean, it
had to go somewhere, bro.
Well, that's a lot of knowledge, though. This is part of the reason I'm not saying he's the greatest hit person in the world, but he did a lot of clever things.
Clever doesn't mean, clever doesn't mean you're a gun for hire, like Ian said. I mean, there are different levels of this. I mean, he's not like this is not Navy SEAL level stuff. This is a guy that I think is ideologically driven by a group and researched it, used his brainiac commie brain to come up with this.
Or if he was part of a group and others were involved, they could have said, do this, go here, do that. And
Al Gonzalez thinks he had help, and he was saying, well, the group idea makes sense because they believe he had help to escape and help to come in. So he may not be so all alone.
It looks that way to me. I'm just saying, you're talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, God, I would think I'd have to be a New Yorker to pull off what he did, because I would know to go to a hostel or go here. He knew where the cameras are going to be.
He came in from Atlanta on a bus. This guy was using buses, and so was the girl who disappeared from LA, who went to Mexico. She went on a bus.
Yeah. So so that's why I'm saying, that's stuff that I would not know how to do. I feel like somebody who has knowledge or has help.
Somebody helped him, or I don't think he's an ex-New Yorker. I think he was able to look at this, Googled all this stuff and lay it out. He knew where he was going on the e-bike. There's a lot of stuff he had to have known how to do.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this in the chat. If you think we're onto something, let us know, or put your own theories in the chat down below. I mean, look, I'm sure people have their own theories on this thing.
Yeah, or the comments if you're, on the replay.
Comments in the chat, or both, or whatever.
Absolutely. We may not be able to answer them all, but we do read.
Right, but I mean, you can interact with us by using the comment and the chat by putting your own ideas down there. So there's some interaction because a lot of people have a lot of ideas about these subjects, especially this one, which is a mystery.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. The gun's the only thing I'm not sure about. The rest of it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got in there? You got Fetterman. Oh, no. By the way, like you said, Adams did hint at switching parties back to Republicans.
Yes. So he's drifting. I told you he was on the
Republican. He was a Republican.
I did not know he was a Republican at one point. But so he's done the Bloomberg, right?
Yes,
but
he's done the full. He's the full Bloomberg, but maybe going back. He's running for re-election currently as a Democrat. He's registered to run again as a Democrat for re-election. So he's not that bold.
All right. Well, Fetterman is busy, almost making sense again.
Against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
It infuriates me that he is equating one to the other.
I agree with
Fuck this guy. It's not the same thing. And there's more pardons coming down the pike, as was discussed this week, floating out those trial balloons on Fauci and Adam
Liz
Schiff
Cheney.
and Liz Cheney, plus his brother. He's not done. They're now discussing Christmas pardons for X amount of people. I believe, and I said it last week, I said it on Greg Boudell's show yesterday out of Montgomery, this guy is selling pardons. This is what's happening. This is the last chance for Joe Biden to ever make money in his life. He can't go on a speaking tour. Nobody's buying a book. He's done financially. There's no more grift. There's no more Ukraine money. There's no more of that crap. This is his last dip into the financial well. And he will sell those pardons. The money may be sent to a cutout, maybe sent to his son. Now that his son has a pardon, I don't know the physics of it. But let me tell you something. He has signaled by these stories in Politico that the door is open. That's what he signaled. And if Fauci can come up with the money, Schiff, who's got a huge war chest left over from his race out here with Steve Garvey, and Liz Cheney, who's got Cheney money, that door is open for blanket pardons. Whether they're constitutional is debatable, Eric. I mean, I'm talking about the pre-pardon pardon.
I mean,
that's never been done in American history.
Hasn't it? I don't know. I mean, technically, Nixon never confessed to anything, and he was pardoned.
Right. So they put an asterisk on that, and this was by the vice president, president to the president. They're looking at that constitutionally because it was wrapped in the wrapper of presidential politics. This is just giving pardons out to random people on the earth. That's never been tested, and people believe that this will go to the United States Supreme Court if done as said.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one though, because I mean the pardon power is pretty wide. I mean, and there's a lot of latitude, and it's meant to have a lot of latitude. Of course, you have somebody who's going to abuse that, so it's hard to.
Well, Clinton obviously was paid through Mark Rich to pardon Mark Rich back in the day, but these were convicted people. These are people that were convicted, and nobody's ever pardoned anyone in this pardoning thing except the asterisk of Ford and Nixon, which was a special case. No one's ever pardoned anyone from the presidential side for people who have not been convicted of a crime or commuted. That's never happened, as far as I know, in American history. If there's some case out there, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comment section if you know of another case where the president pardoned a non-convicted, non-criminal person for the presidential pardon. But I could be wrong.
Well, I'm wondering if anyone was pardoned before the conviction actually hit or not.
I don't know. I don't
Was
know.
Roger Stone convicted before he was pardoned?
I think so. I think and I think the people that were pardoned by Trump had already been convicted. And I challenge people, I don't know, to go back in the chat or in the comment section, go back to American history and let us know. Maybe Andrew Jackson did something, or maybe Truman. I'm not aware of it at this time. I mean, I haven't really dove into it head first, but I think this would be a new area.
And no, I don't believe George H.W. Bush pardoned Neil Bush. That was that was corrected.
That was corrected by Esquire itself that put it up.
Yeah, they
and then what's her name put up one, the chick from The View, the Navarro,
the Butts, the Hunter.
That was ridiculous.
Hunter McButts, I think it was. Yeah, here we go. For those who were talking about George H.W., I know you don't like him, but Esquire corrects it, then retracts it.
Right.
He never pardoned.
Well, the language in that article was so aggressive. They said, shut the F up about pardoning of Hunter Biden. I don't know if you could see that in the article. I mean, wow. And then to retract it the next day. I mean, do they not have an editor there?
I don't know.
Pardoned his son, Neil. The entire, it's not a thing that happened. That's been corrected. But the article yesterday, the one that says, shut the F up about the pardon of Hunter Biden. I mean, who writes that in an article? And they're wrong.
Well, it's Esquire. It's not really known as a.
Well, when I was growing up, it was. I mean, I don't know where it is now.
Well, the Atlantic used to be respectable too, but look where they are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that one. That was
the Navarro one was funny because she said it was a Woodrow Wilson or something, right?
Yeah, Woodrow Wilson pardoned Hunter McButts, but no, my favorite part was her reaction when she got called out. She goes, well, take that, Chat GPT. She
blamed AI or something, right?
Right, which is okay. That's probably true. I bet that's exactly where she got it. But you don't blame it. That's saying you're a quack. You're a piece of garbage. If you're sitting there just going, hey, AI, tell me what I want to know.
Also a minister of disinformation.
Yes.
I mean, if these people were not caught, these stories would have been in the permanent record.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is what they wanted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty maddening. Oh, I see. I was sharing the wrong window. I had the tweets of the guy who was posting that up. The entire piece that people should, shut the F up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is that in there?
Yeah, he's describing it. He has screenshots of the article.
Right. Yeah. Because I took a shot of it myself with my phone. I took a screenshot of it too. I was just appalled, totally appalled. I mean, the aggressiveness of doing it. It's one thing to get something wrong, but holy crap!
Oh, I agree. It's insane. But speaking of aggressive people, first off, let me give an introduction to everybody so they know what we are talking about.
I know what you're going to show now. Oh no, Hunley.
No,
say it ain't so, Hunley.
Yeah. I mean, I like to display dignified people, like in front of cancel. Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Telling me, don't say anything. People are calling me and telling me, don't say anything. Stay in your lane. Be quiet. Sit down. You will lose your seat. They won't vote for you. Fight. Don't fight. What the fuck do I have to do in this fucking council in order to get respect as a black woman?
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Don't talk to me like that.
I'm afraid of losing the votes. I'm not afraid of the seat. I'm not afraid of anybody here.
So she's a pretty expressive character, and
I think she's on the Boston City Council, right?
Yes, she is. She's a counselor, and but we always like, you need to check in. How are things going there with this fine representative?
I just want to add that she was the first Muslim Black Lives Matter candidate successfully to be on the Boston City Council. But go on, Eric.
All right. So this is today.
Oh boy. That's not good. That's not good, Hunley. That's not good.
That's not a. Not a
She's
good-
got wire fraud, bribery.
Counselor
shakedown.
Tanya Fernandez Anderson has just been taken into custody.
Here's video from moments ago of the FBI outside a Dorchester home. We told you
Come on
earlier this
out.
week the city councilor is under
She's
federal
not raging
investigation,
now.
but neither
No.
she nor the city would tell us
Hands
why.
up. Put your hands
Officials
up.
cited the U.S. Attorney's Office, saying the integrity of a grand jury investigation would be impaired by disclosing information.
Fernandez
Oh, yeah.
Anderson has
Yeah, we know that.
represented District 7 since 2021 and has
Let's
faced
look at her
several
record.
scandals. Last year, the State Ethics Commission found she violated the conflict of interest law by hiring her sister and son and raising their salaries. Fernandez Anderson agreed to pay a $5,000 fine.
Oh,
Just
big
last
deal.
month, the State Office of Campaign and Political Finance sent her campaign a letter saying it had not timely filed deposit information and had taken contributions over the legal limit. We,
That's
of course,
right,
will
motherfucker.
continue to update you on this breaking story. Once again, Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson has just been taken into custody
Okay,
by the
they're not listing the
Nice knowing you.
charges. They're not listing the FBI charges. This was previously what happened with her, but today the FBI said wire fraud, bribery, corruption, shakedowns, the whole gamut. The whole
Yep.
gamut. Bye, bitch. See you up in where do they go to? Where do the Boston people go to prison for you Boston people? I forget the name of the joint. People in the comment section or chat, they know where they go in Boston. I forget the name of the prison up there. But that's where she's going. Whatever that prison is outside of Boston, for the chat and comments and those people. It's always the loudest voices that seem to be the most corrupt, Eric.
All right. Hey, we got a historian in here that's helping
Okay.
us on the pardon front.
Right on.
President Davis was never convicted and refused his pardon, demanding a trial. He was
Jefferson
released by
Davis?
technicality. Yeah.
Jefferson Davis of the Confederacy.
I think so. Well, that would be
Okay,
a guy who would
Right
need a
on.
pardon.
Right on. Very nice. President Jefferson Davis of a parallel America was never convicted. Okay.
Well,
Nice try.
He was arrested after the Civil War,
Okay.
and he was held here at Fort Monroe, actually,
Okay.
in the prison, and he wound up not being convicted. And the reason why, from what I understand, he was not convicted is because there are questions whether he actually was constitutionally able to separate.
Yeah.
That is a genuine argued factor in history, and his trial could have put the whole country's status at jeopardy. It was easier to just let it go and try to heal and move forward.
Okay. I'll take that as a positive.
I mean, that's
what else you got over there?
Good news for the crypto bros in the world and everybody else, and that's
Oh yeah, I was going to say that.
100,000.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm very nervous about Bitcoin. I'm not really
I sold mine last year. I guess I'm an idiot.
I don't know. It depends. You know.
Yeah, I know.
The real people who feel bad about it are the people who way back several years ago were like buying pizza with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know, spending literally the Bitcoin is worth under $1 for a coin, not 100. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And so they were just like having fun with it, like it was pocket change. So I don't know. Oh, you sent me this one, I think. And if you didn't, I don't know. UK banned sports team.
There was a guy who was a boxer that I don't know about this one. Oh yeah, no, it's a band called Sports Team, right? Yeah, it's a rock band. It's a rock band.
That, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you're talking about some sports team. But yeah, it's a rock band named Sports Team that their dream was to tour the United States. It took them years to get it together. They started here in Valencia, California, for their massive American tour, and they were robbed at gunpoint day one. Their van broken into, and the entire tour was brought to a halt because they came to Crimeville, California.
It's your state, my friend.
But there is a British boxer, which I wanted to get to, who was arrested for talking about grooming.
He's a podcaster, from my understanding.
And a fighter or both?
I don't know if he's a fighter.
He's kind of like a Joe Rogan or something of England. Maybe our British friends know a little bit more about it than I do. I was going to reach out to the people in the UK who follow the show, who this guy is, what the real story is. Apparently, just discussing grooming will put you in jail in the UK, even though it's been publicly discussed, even though, according to the statistics, 84% of the groomers were of Pakistani origin in the UK, according to their own internal statistics. Oh, here's the guy. He looks like a fighter.
I know he's a podcaster. I know that much. I don't know if he's also a fighter or not, but
right.
Oh, he pled guilty?
Yeah, that was a twist. I think it was a plea deal.
No, he's a former.
Former boxer admits racially aggravated posts, whatever that means. These are posts that he put up about the grooming, which is not something that hasn't been reported before. This is something that they have clamped down on in their UK 24/7 censorship world.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he pled, I don't know. Okay,
take it to ask January 6 people why they pled.
Maybe. I just I always want to know.
No, but I'm saying it's not that he did anything.
Well,
he's
I don't
pleading
know.
guilty to a phrase. There's no. He's not doing anything sexual or anything. He's just repeating.
No, I never said that he did anything sexual. I question him.
What is he supposed to do? Say I'm innocent and go and stand trial?
Well, I don't know. Count Dankula did, but
I know. But everybody doesn't have those deep pockets to pull it off.
He didn't have deep pockets, dude. He's a poor ass dude.
So you're using him as the standard for every man.
No, I'm not using him as a standard. I'm just saying it's
okay.
The
people at home vote on Count Dankula versus the boxer. What the boxer should have done. You can vote yourselves on which side you are. I mean, I read that too, and I thought it would be better if he didn't, but I understand why he would. You know what I mean? Because if it's a misdemeanor and he could pay a fine and get on with his life, it might be advantageous.
This is what I was waiting to hear.
Of SA shit. What does that mean?
Was there anything else involved? I always
not from that article.
Of course, but the article is a narrative. Okay, if we look at the source,
well, that's why I'm asking our British friends to put something in the comment section so we can explain it. I'm not over in England. I can't cover the UK beat. I'm covering the crime beat here in California, so I'm just putting it out there. I don't know the whole story, but based on that article, he pled guilty to posting this thing as an internet post, which is a crime in UK.
Which is bonkers, and I can't stand
that's
the
all
UK
I'm
laws.
covering. I don't know who said that about him. That could be. I mean, that could be a complete crock of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I definitely do want to know more because I'm glad. You know who's doing God's work on free speech in England right now? J.K. Rowling.
Oh right, absolutely. And
now she's got
HBO's bringing her back. HBO said we're in business with her.
Yeah. I mean, she writes material that sells so much stuff.
She was in woke prison, Eric. I mean, it's hard to
She was, and that's why I'm pleased with her. I mean, good on her. I don't like her politics in any other way, but she was fantastic. She got like a parliamentary member or somebody, they've lost their seat. Like she was actually beaten people. Like one guy's like, you're going to be arrested. She's like, arrest me. Do it. And she's got the pockets. So
that's good. She's got pockets. Maybe the boxer doesn't have those kind of Rowling pockets, but nobody does.
I'm sure. And this person here definitely has more shallow pockets. And I don't know if you saw about this Idaho salon. And unfortunately,
I did not see this. Yeah.
Yeah. She put out essentially a rant on anybody who voted for Trump and her customers were saying, and that she wouldn't deal with them or whatever, and her customers like, okay, goodbye. And
it's Idaho. I mean, what is she? She's pretty bold for Idaho.
Yeah, well, and now she's
gave small men the ability and the courage to be misogynistic and hateful and say like your body, my choice.
I've never heard that before. Tiffany Prickett says customers dropping like flies. She hasn't deterred the owner-operators lying.
Yeah, she actually followed up with a video doubling down, though. That's what I
Well,
love.
good for dude. Let the free market work its thing, Hunley.
Yeah, no,
let the free political market see who wants to go to her nail salon in Idaho. I mean, how many people are going to nail salons? But I guess in that city, it's pretty big.
God only knows. Now, another story that I have, because I know you love Don Jr. and we've gone back and forth on it, but it's interesting.
Let me just interrupt. I do not love Don Jr. I want to win, and my pragmatic sense tells me, again, this is purely pragmatic, people. I'm not in love with Don Jr. I believe that a Trump son handled properly by the father in this particular case could bring out more MAGA voters than J.D. Vance. That's my political opinion. That's all I'm saying. That's my political opinion. I'm not in love with either one of them. I'm just being pragmatic at this time. Thank you. Go on.
Okay, so like I said, you love Donald Trump Jr. I really am thinking that Barron is possibly the future. And
it would have to be really way in the future.
It might be, but
I'm not going to be around, Hunley.
What do you think the evolution of your?
You see the size of that kid? Anyway, Melania apparently was on Fox and Friends and discussing that Barron actually was advising Trump, and he's out there. So I'm just saying, watch out for Barron in the future. There's something.
Okay, but he's 18.
Yes.
Okay, he'd have to be 35 to be president.
Oh, right, I know. And you know who just turned 35, right?
Who?
AOC.
Oh, she can run, yeah. But she's going to have trouble with her own seat, I think. But she could be. They never make these people VPs. You know what I mean? You know, like Hillary Clinton found that Tim Kaine guy was her. Tim Waltz. They always find these Tim Waltz guys. I am begging them to run this Meg Whitman out of Michigan. Please, God, run a woman. Please. Any woman the Democrats could find, I'm begging them to run a woman. That's all I want. I don't even care what woman it is. It could be AOC, Whitmer, go again with Harris back to back. Please, Lord.
I'll take Harris. Please, Harris.
You're right. Any woman they could find. If there's Coachell, New York, let her run. I could care less. But the woman thing, we have a system to beat them.
Yeah. Unless there's somebody out there that we don't know of. But
well, if we don't know him, then nobody else knows him. So bring it on.
But from what we've seen, so all right, let's get some super chats in here. Pamela Clifton says, "Happy Friday, guys." Thank you, Pamela. Joe Rudd with a super sticker.
This is Mark Rudd's grandson from the Columbia University. He's a member of the Weather Underground.
Or granddaughter, probably. J.O.
J.O., probably the granddaughter of the famous Mark Rudd, one of the leaders of the Weather Underground. SDS also from Columbia University, and then moved to England to escape.
Yeah, expat family. That makes sense. Justin Wright. Hegseth is being Kavanaghed. Hegseth is well liked by his 06 and below. That's a colonel.
Oh, okay.
It's a bird colonel and below. Us door kickers will finally be represented at the Pentagon.
Okay,
maybe
it could have been. It could have been with Greg Kelly too, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Greg Kelly's more qualified. I mean, this is the part that'll be really controversial. I know MAGA hates him, but DeSantis actually is more qualified than both.
Oh no, Kelly made that case for 2 nights. Kelly is backing DeSantis. He went into detail as to why DeSantis, but then he would give up the governorship. There'd be a vacuum down there like you never saw before. I am just apoplectic about Rubio running the State Department. Keep in mind, the State Department is the most nefarious area of American government that could ever be run. That's why Hillary Clinton took it. That's why Mike Pompeo took it. The entire jewels of the empire are within the State Department. The fact that and there is a division in it goes into this, Mike Benz, quite in detail. There is a Republican division of the CIA and there's a Democratic division of the CIA. Marco Rubio is the head of the Republican division of the CIA. Used to be John McCain. It was Mitt Romney after John McCain, and now it's Marco Rubio.
Lindsey Graham.
No, he doesn't mention Lindsey
No, that's
Graham.
why I said he got passed over. I said poor Lindsey because
Yeah.
yeah.
But Marco Rubio is the Republican leader on the board of this IRO organization, which is essentially the GOP's wing of the CIA. There is a Democratic version of that with another name that I forget, the National Democratic Defense or something. But anyway, Rubio will be now in charge of all of the commercial deals, deal making, foreign government, everything, all the crown jewels he will be in charge of. Very terrifying.
Well, there's one person that can throw a wrench into that, and that's Tulsi. She's the only counterpoint with the DNI aspect, because CIA reports.
I don't know if they interface that well, but I don't know what the relationship is between DNI, Secretary of State. DNI is relatively a new position historically,
right? But it was put up above CIA.
But it's not CIA. I mean, state runs its own world, and that world is vast. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
100%. But I'm just saying, she's
people who think they're ones who are peace people going around making peace deals. There are bureaucrats down below who do that, in terms of negotiations and stuff like that. But the Secretary of State, the reason Hillary Clinton wanted that was obvious.
Oh, it's immensely powerful.
Yeah.
Old Man in Chair says concur on Mike Pence. You should get him as a guest.
I wish.
I might have had communication with him.
Okay.
PD, did you see the latest Trudeau Jim announced more gun confiscation from law-abiding Canadians yesterday? Wants to give the guns to Ukraine. Please save us.
Give them. They're just about done over there. Take all the guns and give them to Ukraine. We'll sell some more guns to Canadians.
Well, Ian was talking about that earlier, Runkle, and it was kind of hilarious because they've seized so many guns and banned so many guns that now they're down to like these like pea shooters, garbage guns. And he's like, God, you give them to the Ukraine, they'll be like, you're going to kill me. Don't give me that thing.
That thing's about to end, by the way, very quickly, because Mike Johnson said they're not going to forward the money as Trump predicted and insisted that he would do while he was still president-elect. Johnson has now said yesterday he will not be forwarding any additional money to Ukraine. The party's over. Turn out the lights, make your deals, and go home, because the Russians are just going to, they're taking town by town today, as reported on Newsmax. They're starting to run up their victories, having heard that there's no more money coming.
Well, and we've seen Johnson kind of in tow with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, UFC. So, I mean, he's, it looks like it will not be a Paul Ryan situation.
No, but he's only got the one seat advantage, Hunley. So unless he can whip every single person into a vote and win everything by one vote, which I have my doubts about, more power to Mike Johnson if he could whip anything with a one vote majority. He's the greatest majority speaker in the history of the House.
Yeah, that's true.
It's mathematically possible. Let me put it this way. Is it politically possible? No.
No, it's going to be rough. I mean, by the way, you know that Adam Schiff resigned today, right? From
Adam
Congress.
Schiff resigned to become senator?
Well, he resigned from Congress early. Or whatever. So he and Matt Gaetz both resigned this session, if you think
right. So it could be that he's waiting for his pardon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he already got elected senator. So, I mean, he resigned until January 3rd. So whatever.
Kind of like what Matt Gaetz did.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, the people in the comment section, tell Eric and I who you think will be pardoned in the Biden universe, in your opinion. List the people that you think: brother, James Biden, other brother, sister, Fauci. Let us know who you think is going to be pardoned. The Fauci pardon may be the most of the three. That might be the most explosive.
If it happens, again, I have mixed feelings about it, because obviously I want him prosecuted, everything else.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, a pardon also just says everything is true. And it proves everything that everybody's been, complaining about for years now to be 100. So it may not be as satisfying.
Okay.
It still is a victory though, because it's like, no, we were right. You just proved it. A lot of people are having to eat so much crow with Hunter because it's like Biden writing that damn letter saying that his own Justice Department was actively going after people.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: how does he justify? This is President Biden with all that stuff he wrote about his son. How would he justify James Biden, in your opinion?
Oh, well, he could follow what Sean Spicer recommended, or Dan. No, I think it was Dan who recommended it. It was smart. He said, why the hell didn't he just say, I have to protect these people because there's a guy coming in after me who is going to unfairly go after them politically speaking, blah, 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 blah. So I have to preemptively protect.
That's going to be his MO then.
Well, he should have done that with his son. That's the
Well,
funny
he kind of does do that. He does reference that a little bit, that they were coming from me. They're unfairly targeting my son. He does hint at that in that statement.
True.
Will he pardon James Biden? That's what, James Biden?
Yeah.
James, and then the other brother, I forget the other brother's name. There's a third brother.
I didn't know he had two.
Yeah, there's the two brothers. There's a whole crime family. I'm just saying, will he pardon? Here's my question. Will he pardon the entire Biden crime family?
I think he's going to have to.
Yeah.
Because Hunter no longer can plead the fifth.
But he could have put Hunter in with the others and done him at one felt swoop.
Yeah.
Saved himself the embarrassment of doing it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Hunter one was rushed.
Yeah. I think, the reports coming out of the White House were that Thanksgiving, he said, I'm going to write a tell-all book unless I get this pardon.
And then, blah, 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 done. Yeah.
Hey, whoa. Nobody mentioned tell-all book to me. I was sleeping in Africa. When did this happen? Oh.
Yep. It's also, I hate to say, it's potentially a statement about his health that that Hunter's like, I don't know if we're going all the way till the 19th of January. Speaking of which,
it's also a statement about him trusting his own father. His father saying, I'm going to pardon everybody January 19th. And he's going like, what's my remedy if you
don't make
me over? Yeah. No. If you don't put me on the list, you're not president. I'm screwed.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting too. Something else happens January 19th.
Go ahead.
TikTok.
What happens TikTok?
Today, the appeals court just sustained the lower court that TikTok is illegal, must be sold to an American company by January 19th, or it will be banned.
Oh my God. Hunley, do we have any money left? I mean, let's, what can we do to get that TikTok company?
I don't know. Let's start saving it. Maybe Rumble can buy them. No,
maybe Rumble could get in there. Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, but it's interesting because Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok, but then he changed his mind and wanted to save them during the campaign.
Well, we haven't heard about Musk buying MSNBC lately.
No.
But that's this deal's going down with them getting cut off from NBC. So I believe that this what's-a-face, the press secretary, the little Haitian, is going to end up on NBC or literally January 23rd.
Well, her predecessor is.
Yeah, no, they all are. They all are. Yeah. Yeah, I think she's going to end up on what might not be MSNBC, but CNN or one of the other lefty stations. She's got she's the right size. Her head is bigger than her body. You have to have that big head with a stick body to fit on TV. That's the model, and she fits that perfectly.
Yeah,
and be small so you can fit in the frame.
And
you and I would never do well on TV. We're too big.
True.
We're too big for TV. You need like a little stick body with a bigger head and be very small so your shoulders can fit in the frame. It's very specific.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That's like I've mentioned before. You know who has a large head on a small body?
Who?
David Viva.
He'd be perfect for it. You got to have
I mean,
a giant. It's a
if you meet him
body.
in person, his head's as big as my head.
Yes.
And I'm 6'2".
He has a normal head and the body of a dwarf.
I was going the other way.
No, I'm sorry. I love the guy, but he's got a normal size head that ended up on the body of a dwarf. Now, in the circus, he would have been the king of the circus. This guy could have been Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey, but he chose this life, which is not that different. It's a modern day version of the circus, and he's got the perfect size head for TV.
All right. If somebody's pushing back saying that they don't know the NFL guys make it work, that's because they're all the same size, so it looks normal.
Right.
It's like
and look what they show you in the NFL. They'll show you a shot from the waist up in a booth, and it's usually a 2-shot or a 3-shot. That's not what I'm talking about. It's a different camera angle. It's a different thing.
Correct. And it's kind of like, also when you look at all these NBA players, they look normal, and then you see a reporter interviewing them, and they're going,
Of course.
So, all right. Anton Deque with a 20-pound super chat. Thank you very much. Michael Murphy said, Mark is spot on. Wow, you are the maven. Your new name, Mark, is Columbo.
Well, it's funny because this morning, Al Gonzalez and I were going back and forth, and he said, you should have been a detective. And I said, I should have been a lot of things, but I chose this stupid job. But it was fun to be a cop this morning and talk to another cop, a real cop, not me. But it is fun. You know, it's like being one of those internet sleuths. I've been watching a lot of true crime. Yes. I was been filling in Eric on these different true crime shows I've been watching. You get into these jags where the algorithm just rolls into the next one. You know what I mean? It goes, coming up, this one. And you go, all right, let's take a look at this one. Who gives a shit? And I'm just going, oh, this one's fascinating. And I'm kind of studying how they do them. Some are very bad, but some are very good on Netflix. Right, Eric?
No, some of them are excellent. Like there's one, oh God, it was this guy who was kind of a, what was it? Don't Mess with Cats.
Oh, I heard. I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that one yet, but apparently, I mean, these people, we're teasing about the internet sleuths because they are good. Especially, you know, how many times do we talk about autistics? Well, autistics are your worst nightmare.
It works well there.
Yeah. Remember your guy who was going to try to play Lee Harvey Oswald when he was on a bender or whatever? He was planting the flag and he's like, you will not stop us. And he had like this flag. And I think it was 4chan tracked down his flag within like a day and then grabbed a flag or what have you. And these guys, they would sit there, they look at the time of the day, they determine the sun angle, they check out flight schedules. If a flight's going over the time, they figure that out. And it's just crazy. And then they drive around.
Crazy.
That one about Don't Mess with Cats, apparently they saw something like on the wall that was maybe like an outlet style. And no, it's just amazing. I have mad respect for the power of the internet when people go at it and really dig.
Yeah, this one in New York is just because I lived up there. I know that area so well that it became fascinating to me because I know every single block there. And the one in LA is because I'm here in LA with the Hawaiian chick.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. Let me see, BT Mike with $4.99. I think he forgot to type a message because here's another $4.99 with Mark just read David McCowan's book about Laurel Canyon in the 60s. Would love to hear your take on that whole scene in his book.
I never bought into it. I didn't believe a word of it. People have asked me before. I didn't believe any part of that book.
I think there's a lot of coincidences on his theory, because one of the problems is we're talking about the 60s and they were saying, oh, you know, they're related to this military person or that military person. But then those were all World War II children, and most of their parents were in World War II, like their fathers. So
Jim Morrison's father was an admiral in Vietnam.
Absolutely, yes. That was a big
I don't know what that has to do with him hooking up with Ray Manzarek and Krieger and Densmore and writing songs in Venice. I just don't see the connection that you say, well, they're I'm just exaggerating for effect.
Right.
You say, well, they're deep state. Well, that's talented deep state. If that's the case, that super talented band, because his father was an admiral in Vietnam, it's a little bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah. So was John McCain's father. No.
Right. No, but I'm saying,
I know.
I'm just saying this whole Laurel Canyon thing. Yes, they all lived there for artistic and financial rent reasons at the time. It doesn't make them conspirators in a deep state operation. The book just doesn't hold up for me.
All
But
right.
knock yourself out. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. That's what he said. His father wore wore the leather pants. That's funny.
That's where he got them from.
Well, actually, I've read about that. That he didn't like to change them very often.
That's true.
And yeah,
there's a website that I was just shown yesterday of smelly celebrities who smell. And I could add some names. I'm not going to do it here, but I could add some names to that if I was pressed. There's a whole YouTube guy running YouTube who has smelly celebrities on his YouTube channall. Not as guests. He's just commenting on reports that the X person smells.
Well, I can name one. I don't know. I'm going to call him a celebrity because he's one of the most famous people in the world when he was alive, but wasn't celebrity. Steve Jobs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Steve Jobs very famously was on all kinds of wacky diets, like a fruitarian diet.
Yeah.
And that caused him to have flatulence like continuously all day, every day.
Okay.
And people complain that he was awful to be around, especially in the early days.
I'll tell you one personally. I'll give you one good one. You ready? This is, again, I'm just going to throw that. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to tell you one name I personally know smells. You ready? Johnny Depp.
I think I've heard that.
Johnny Depp. Okay, moving on. I just want to, just my own personal thing. Anderson pled not guilty and was released. Anderson. Pamela Anderson? Which Anderson are we talking about here?
I don't know.
Pled not guilty and was released. Anderson. What are we talking about here?
Well, I'm trying to figure out context too.
Yeah, it's something that we just did, a story we just did, or who is Anderson? We'll leave it to maybe the chat knows.
Yeah, somebody jump in, Anderson.
Whoever, Donnie Anderson, was a running
Somebody
back.
said Mr.
Packers.
Anderson.
The Packers had Donnie Anderson, who was number 44, was a runner and punter, and the Packers lost on a field goal last night. I had to watch. I'm looking for this game everywhere. The Packers are playing every different night. I can't find it. I look at everything on Sunday to TiVo it. I put on the other part of the TV, and Prime comes on, and there's the game in the fourth quarter on Prime. I'm going, thank you. And they lost by a field goal to make it even worse last night to the Lions.
All right, Mr. Mike is responding. He said yes, and then he said Boston.
Is that the
John Anderson?
Oh, Anderson. Is it Anderson Prison?
Okay, maybe that's it.
Never heard of that. I never heard of that.
Okay.
That's not the name I know of a prisoner. Anderson was arrested and released. Is that the name?
Terry Anderson, maybe.
That's the hyphen name of the BLM woman.
Well, somebody's saying they think they mean Terry Anderson, who was a captive by Hezbollah.
Okay, well, we have to move on. We can't really dedicate our lives to this.
Tanya Fernandez Anderson.
Right. I thought it was the hyphen part of her name. Yeah.
Okay. So the one that was just arrested. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming she made bail.
Yeah.
Released and the charges dropped, or just she made bail, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure she made bail.
I'm sure she made bail. Okay, that's not really released.
Okay. Let me see. Bexfire said it's Witchmore, Mark.
Witchmore is what?
I don't know.
Who the hell knows what we're talking about? What's Witchmore? Which less?
I don't know. It looked like it was a correction. Did you say something like?
I don't even know. What did I say?
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Hold on. This might be the name of the prison up in Boston.
Okay.
That sounds vaguely familiar. But maybe someone in the comment section.
Somebody said masshole prison.
No, that's funny.
I didn't like that. Gretchen Whitmore. Okay, they're collecting. It's a joke. I was like,
Whitmore. Oh, I got you. Boy, am I an idiot.
All right.
Gretchen Whitmore. Right. Wait, is it? What's her name? Whitmer?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
And that's their play on it.
Right. Whitmer. But I might have said Whitmore. I think I may have misspoken. Whitmer. Man, if she runs, it'd be the greatest day of our lives, Hunley. Because nobody hates. Dude, I think America would turn on her because she is like the angry version of the ditz we just had.
What was it? She had that weird picture with that podcaster where they were like a supplicant getting the
Getting
it's like
host, but it was a Frito-Lay chip or something.
It was so creepy.
They could come back to haunt her with every Catholic voter in the nation. And she banned people from doing anything recreational except her husband and his boat, that he was allowed to go out and use his motorboat during the lockdown. Dude,
well, it's a fine tradition. That's like
you got the phony kidnapping thing that was completely phony. That Julie Kelly was said was a precursor to January 6th, a dress rehearsal, according to Julie Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, she's bad. I mean, but Mr. Mike said, Little Marco with Monica Crowley, Assistant Secretary of State.
Monica Crowley just got some job running the Olympics or something, the ambassador to the Olympics and other special events that come to the United States. I'm not really sure how much damage she can do there, but he can do a lot of damage. Marco can do a lot of damage and make a lot of money for himself, and God help us.
One thing I have to say about this period is when you start to go, wait a minute, they have that as a job? That's actually a position. There's so many of these weird ass, ludicrous things.
Well, that's kind of an ambassadorial thing. It's almost like an honor, an honorary thing. It didn't seem to have much gravitas to it. But she was on last night on somebody's show announcing it. Maybe Rob Schmidt. She was on Rob Schmidt last night.
All right. Dr. Joe Biden /AOC 2028.
Oh, that's the dream team. You're right. That would be that would be the greatest combo of all time. Holy crap.
That would be so bad. It would be like the
that would be the biggest
themselves.
landslide. That would be the biggest landslide in American history.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm not opposed to JD Vance and Donald Trump Jr. I'm just saying we need more MAGA, less. A lot of people call JD Vance the Pillsbury Doughboy. Just so you know, there's some slurs out there against him being a weak sister.
Okay, we got to give that time. I mean, honestly, it's new to it. Got to give that time. A lot of people hated his guts completely, but they really liked him in that debate.
Well, don't forget DeSantis was hated, and now he's back in some good graces to be ordered Secretary of Defense by Trump.
Right, and he, from what I understand, he's definitely not going to be, and Trump may have been, it might have been smart putting his name like that because that got MAGA,
revved up, rather quickly. But how much is Susie Wiles involved in this? We don't know, Eric. How much is her, and how much is Trump?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really
there's
don't.
So much coming out of Florida, and there's a lot of swamps in Florida, as people are well aware. People in the comment section, tell us if you think it's Wiles or Trump, because I'm confused. I'm completely confused as to how much Susie Wiles, as chief of staff, is doing down in Florida with this, sleight of hand stuff with DeSantis. Gates,
I think DeSantis was Trump.
Pam Bondi, the sheriff now. Eric, look how many players there are out of Florida.
I think that it was Trump who did the DeSantis thing. And the reason why I think it is because Susie Wiles despises DeSantis.
Yes.
And I wonder if he was saying, you need to get behind my guy, no backstabbing or whatever. You know what? I'll just put Ron DeSantis as Secretary of Defense. And then that got everything riled up.
Okay,
so
how did the sheriff get there?
That one I don't even know. I mean, again, another Florida guy, right? Everybody's out of Florida. It's an administration from Florida.
Maybe she didn't like Matt Gaetz. Maybe that was a sabotage of Matt Gaetz.
Could be.
Nobody went to bat for Matt Gaetz. I mean, and he had a sex report that was hovering, not unlike the one for Pete.
I'd say Gates's was worse.
We don't even know what happened. What do you mean worse?
If he in fact was paying, for hookers or something, and that was provable,
right?
That's a little bit worse than being a philanderer, and that.
Boy, that's some moral scale. I don't know what's worse. Once you're a sin, you're a sinner, Eric.
Well,
are you a sinner?
I don't know. I mean, we got a president who's on his third wife, and he definitely.
Right.
Let's not go too crazy.
No, but we all sin. I mean, is it different levels of sin? I mean, you people at home, the Christian people know what I'm talking about. I'm not Christian, but I'm saying, we're all sinners in the eyes of God. So
okay, well, I would say that
are there levels of sin? Is what I'm saying.
Yes, I think being a philanderer is obviously not a desirable trait, but if he managed to do it while he wasn't married, that is different than if he was doing it while he's married.
You have a rating scale, obviously.
Well, I think everybody does.
No, I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know. Is there a rating scale if you have 5 divorces versus 1?
Well, I'm going to say that adultery is actually a named sin.
Adultery has now been removed from the legal logbooks of the state of New York and New York City as a crime.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's where adultery is right now.
Alan's right on the spot. Yes, there are levels of sin. I keep it down to drinking and gambling.
Okay. Well, you got it boiled down, Alan. So, but adultery is now wide open in New York State. It's no longer a crime, no longer a sin, nothing on adultery.
I don't think that adultery is. It's probably an old law that was on the books. I don't think
it was an old law, and I'll tell you the history of it. In 1965, when New York State went to no-fault divorce, all the private investigators lost their jobs because up until 1965 in New York, to get a divorce, you had to prove adultery. And you had to hire a private eye to go out, take pictures, do all the private eye kind of stuff against your spouse to prove adultery. That was the thing. After 65, they were toast. It completely fell apart until now they've removed adultery from the books. But you used to have to prove adultery in court, which is kind of interesting how far we've come since 1965.
All right, well, you know what? You like asking the chat and the comments questions, so
I don't like the answers, but
well, that's fine. But we want to know, what do you feel? Is there a scale for sin?
Or is God the judge of you in the afterlife? That's my or
both.
God's the judge and there's a scale.
Well, he's always the judge. In the end, he's always the judge. But
no, but I mean,
can you have a little judgment on the way here?
Do we judge people based on? No, but I'm saying, is it right? I'm not saying sure we do. Obviously, we do. Is it right? Should we judge people based on our own moral scale of sin? I think is the question Eric's getting at. Yeah, and you people can comment down below.
We highly encourage it, please.
Highly encourage it. I'm looking forward to that one. Biden has to identify what Hunter is being pardoned for.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think he has.
I'm going to keep reaching back to Nixon.
Yeah, well,
your pardon.
It was to heal the country and blah blah blah.
Oh, I know, but it's like there was no specific crime. You know, a lot of people are saying if you pardon somebody, you have to say what they did. It's like, no. If you read that Hunter Biden, it literally said, for any crimes known or unknown.
Yeah, unknown. Yeah.
So,
well, he was on that board of Burisma. That was a crime. Remember, he got that prosecutor fired in Ukraine. Joe Biden did.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I did. I mean, and then God knows, you got all whatever crack felonies, whatever else, and
well, somebody said, and it might have been Marco Polo, there was something like 250 crimes just on the laptop alone. That somebody went through the actual crimes. And there were hundreds of crimes that could be prosecuted on related to and what's on the laptop.
Yeah.
It boiled down to them, according to these sources, them running out the statute of limitations on 199 of them, taking the 2 weakest ones, the tax evasion and the gun charge, and charging them with that just to have something at the end of the day, which is what they did.
And they call it a political prosecution.
Right. They call it's actually the reverse.
Of course.
It's the absolute reverse. And this son of a bitch, lying sack of shit of a president. You know, there was some Democrats. I was listening to Ben Shapiro yesterday, and he was playing tapes of Democrats who he felt were finally getting the message. And they said, you know, they're opposed to Biden doing this. There are Democrats who are opposed to Biden doing this.
A lot.
But the guy added the caveat, and which they always do, that it would give Republicans ammunition against us. And that's really the reason that they care about it.
Right. Well,
they always add that. They always add that.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be that. Even some Republicans like John Walsh, who has been like a known anti-Trump person.
America's most wanted?
No, he's like a former senator or radio guy.
Oh, okay.
It's not that John
John
Walsh.
Okay.
I thought it was, or Joe Walsh.
God, I'd love to work.
It
for
could
that
be
show
Joe
for-
Walsh.
Wouldn't it be
I don't
great
know.
to work for America's Most Wanted for a year, just track down these crimes? That would be a lot of fun.
It could be. I mean, they represent it, and then right now you have America's Most Wanted is Twitter, or whatever.
Or
It's like,
these
you know,
Netflix
who
true
is-
crime things. It really spun out of America's Most Wanted because
Oh, sure.
they caught so many criminals that there were spinoffs to that, which later became, I think, these true crime series on Netflix. These different true crime things.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I mean, well, you had America's Most Wanted, but then you also had like a 2020 spun into the Netflix. The Netflix was just extended these stories out more than 48 hours was doing it. 2020 was doing it.
Hey,
So
I
we
was
did-
on one last month. with,
Yeah, you were in
Stephanie
July.
Lasseter. Yeah, that was a murder crime story this summer. I believe she's coming up for parole again in February, by the way. I'm curious to see. You forgot I didn't mention to you the whole story of Nate Hochman this week. He got sworn in 2 days ago.
He scrapped a whole slew.
What's that?
That he scrapped like 10 things.
Yeah, no, he scrapped it all, but there's more to the story. He had Arnold Schwarzenegger swear him in. All of these people were at the swearing in ceremony, except for the leftist side of the Democratic Party, who refused to show up, which included every city council person, the mayor herself, only Catherine Barger, who's the Republican member of the Board of Supervisors. The other supervisors did not show up. Every assistant district attorney, every cop in LA, the sheriff, the head sheriff, the chief of police was there. It was a really boisterous day, and there's substations all around the county for DA's offices. I think there's about 15 different DA offices. They made paper name tags out of paper, and when he put his hand on the Bible, every assistant DA around the county put it over Gascon's name with tape before it could be ready to be made. They weren't waiting. The second he put his hand on the Bible, Eric, every single DA's office in the county taped over Gascon's name.
Perfect.
Wow. And then he issued the memorandum reversing every single George Gascon thing that he did,
which I liked. I mean, I love seeing that, and that was a nice day one thing to do. So
absolutely, absolutely.
By the way, these are the same Democrats though who will complain that Trump didn't want to show up in 2020. They're always so mad about that, but then they do it, and it's righteous.
They had different excuses. Hochman was he didn't get into it, but he was being interviewed. He didn't get into that part of it, but it was clear that this was the middle politically of Los Angeles. It was politically the middle. It was Republicans and Democrats showed up. Rick Caruso was sitting in the front row. He had run against Karen Bass. I mean, and Alec Michelson said this was some parallel universe, Los Angeles, if Rick Caruso would have been mayor. This would have been the actual city government that showed up. It was fascinating to see this parallel LA, which hopefully is coming back, is the point.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Bex Fire said that's what many Michiganders.
Which more?
I don't know how you say it. Michiganders?
Michiganders. It sounds almost Yiddish.
It'd be hard. It
sounds like Michigas. It's like Michigas, Michiganders. It sounds like the feminine of Michigas.
Okay.
Michiganders.
Yeah.
Michigas.
Doesn't flow that well. Dustin said, don't underestimate Big Gretchen out of Michigan, though I predict she runs for Senate in 26.
That's much better for her. That's less aggravation, bro. This presidential thing is such a toss-up whether you're going to get it. The Senate thing, you could grind out a victory there.
And you can stay there forever.
6 years and nobody even knows you're there.
And then again and again and again. And you can go on and on and on and
with
on.
With little aggravation.
Yeah. It's a very nice spot to be in if you want to linger in the government like a parasite forever. I mean, ask John McCain.
Yeah.
Ask, many others. No term limits, and they might as well be there for life. Looking to see if there's anything from Rumble here. Drum12 said, I'm aligned with Mark now. Pardon all J6ers. Listen to too many pundits justifying Hunter's pardon this week.
Right on, bro. Stick with me. The people have voted on that, Hunley. I think you were defeated.
All right. And by the way, it's Joe Walsh, not
Joe Walsh from the Eagles.
No, Joe Walsh from AM 4560.
Wait, I know Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh has a little brain damage, but could still play like a motherfucker.
Well, I would argue that both of them have brain damage then too, because this guy hates Trump that much. His TDS is
that's the other Joe Walsh. Yeah. I don't know if this Joe Walsh hates him or not, but
what happened? He was driving his Maserati at 185, and
no. I fairly recently was at a private party, and Joe Walsh had a band and played, and we just sat there with our jaws open. He went through every hit like a jukebox, and we were just stunned by Joe Walsh. He is a god.
Well, he's an incredible player.
He is a rock effing god, bro.
All right. David March said the Canadian Trump is a guy named Pierre Poilievre.
Okay.
I don't know if I can ever say it right. And that's my problem with it. Watch the video of him destroying a reporter while eating an apple. It's great.
Okay, let's get behind this guy. Let's go. That's the guy. Pierre, what's your face over there? Poilievre. Let's go. The new Trump of Canada.
And he is fantastic. I have seen that video. He just casually is eating an apple. The reporter's coming up with every incendiary question.
Does he wear a turban, or he's just a regular?
No, he's just a regular dude.
French Canadian, I presume, with Pierre.
Yeah. With a very flat, slightly nasally voice, but he's just really flat demeanor, just calm as can be. They would say some smearing stuff, and he would just and they would just toss it back. It was almost on the level of, remember when Elon Musk called out that reporter, and the reporter said, Twitter is this and this and this, and Musk said, name one.
Oh, yeah.
Name one time.
Yeah.
Well, you would know, name one. And he pinned him. This guy, Poilievre, was kind of like that. It just.
I think JD Vance can do that too with a reporter.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, he does. I mean, JD Vance does it all the time. That's why I'm saying, let's see over the next 4 years, especially if Vance is out there.
Again, I must say, I am not opposed to JD Vance. I am just worried about getting out the MAGA turnout in a presidential election. The MAGA turnout. That's all I care about. And it's purely pragmatic on my part.
All right.
I like the guy. I like the book. I read the book early on.
Not the movie, though.
The movie blows. Sorry. It's done by a guy who was on a show, I think, Andy of Mayberry.
Yes. Who is a good director?
Yeah.
Often
can be.
Yeah, he can be a great director, or he can do that. So it depends. All right. Well, we are going to be heading over to locals. I hope you guys consider following us over. Again, you can be a member there for free. And if you like it, you could support us over the year. And if you don't head over there, well, I guess we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday, you losers. No, come on over. It's free. You can be dressed as, you don't even have to get dressed. You can just wear whatever you're wearing right now. And eventually, if you do join, you get all the freaking benefits of locals that are so numerous we can't even mention them, including the now completed final version of 5 parts of the Oswald miniseries AI audio drama, including your PDF script that goes with it, for $70 a year. Eric is okay. $70. 70.
70, yes.
$70 for the whole year, not the month. So it's $70 a year. You get the 5 scripts and all the other secret documents and all the other JFK stuff that's on there, and books, out of print books, weird photos, personal items, everything else. But as Eric said, even if you don't do that, you can come over for free and look around. And
there's a lot there. About 85% of what we offer is free, and then there's the other that takes first.
I'm completely opposed to it. I think it should be $15.85 the other way. But Hunley insists on giving away the milk and the cow for reasons I can't even understand. Maybe his prairie farmer days in Arizona allows him to
prairie desert
cattle days, where he learned to give away the chicken and the eggs at the same time. But I guess we'll see you over there.
All right. We will see you momentarily.